Denise, you need to step out of the picture.
For a moment, Denise Williams thought she had misunderstood. The ballroom was filled with champagne glasses, white roses, expensive perfume, and the soft hum of 200 people pretending they weren't listening. Her younger sister Vanessa stood 3 feet away in a fitted ivory wedding gown. Beautiful, perfect, and visibly uncomfortable. Denise looked toward the photographer. "I'm sorry?" Vanessa stepped closer. "Just for the family pictures." Denise looked around. Her mother was sitting at the head table. Her aunt was suddenly very interested in her phone. Vanessa's new husband, Michael, stared at the floor. Nobody said anything. Denise looked back at her sister. "Why?" Vanessa lowered her voice. "Because I don't want this becoming a thing." "What thing?" "You know." "No, Vanessa. I don't." Vanessa Seahill. "Denise, please don't make me say it." Denise's stomach tightened. "Say what?" Vanessa looked at Denise's dress. It was a deep emerald gown she'd bought specifically for the wedding. It fit her beautifully. But Denise had spent most of her life understanding what people meant when they said things without saying them. Vanessa sighed again. "It's just that you're going to stand out." Denise stared at her. The silence around them became louder. "You mean because I'm black?" Vanessa's eyes widened. "No." "Because I'm older?" "No." Denise looked down at herself, then back at her sister. "Because I'm fat." Vanessa didn't answer. She didn't have to. Denise felt something inside her go very still. She had been called many things throughout her life. Beautiful, funny, smart, loud, too confident, too sensitive, too independent. But she had learned that there were certain rooms where being a beautiful black woman in a large body was enough to make people decide you were somehow less deserving of being seen. She had simply hoped her sister's wedding wouldn't be one of those rooms. Vanessa reached for her hand. "It's just one photograph." Denise slowly pulled away. No. "Denise, you said family photograph." "You are family." "Then why can't I be in it?" Vanessa's eyes filled with frustration. "Because it's my wedding." "And I'm your sister. You always do this." Denise blinked. "Do what?" "Make everything emotional." Denise almost laughed. "I'm standing here asking why my own sister doesn't want me in her wedding pictures." "You're proving my point." Denise stared at here. Then she nodded. "All right." Vanessa looked relieved. "Thank you." Denise smiled. It was a small, wounded smile. "You won't have to worry about me ruining the picture." She turned. "Denise." She kept walking. Past the flower arrangements. Past the champagne tower. Past relatives who suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. She walked toward the ballroom doors with her head held high. She had promised herself years ago that she would never again beg to be accepted into a room. Not after her divorce. Not after her former husband's family blamed her for his infidelity. Not after losing the promotion she'd spent 6 years working toward because a younger executive had decided she wasn't the right image for the company. Not after raising her daughter alone. She had built a life without waiting for anyone to approve of her. And yet her sister's words still hurt. She pushed through the ballroom doors, then stopped, because the entire atmosphere in the hotel lobby had changed. The hotel manager was standing beside the entrance. 2 security guards were whispering. A group of men in dark suits had suddenly appeared. And then the elevator doors opened. A Korean man stepped out. He was tall, maybe 6'2", late 30s, black tailored suit, no tie. His dark hair was neatly swept back, revealing a sharp, controlled face. He didn't walk like a man who expected people to notice him. He walked like a man who knew they already had. The hotel manager immediately approached. "Mr. Kang." The man gave a small nod. "Is the private room prepared?" "Yes, sir." "Good." He took 2 steps, then stopped. His eyes landed on Denise. Something changed in his expression. Not attraction. Not surprise. Recognition. Denise frowned. She had never seen him before. The man said something quietly to the security officer beside him. The officer immediately disappeared. Then the man walked toward Denise. Miss Williams? Denise stiffened. Yes? You're Denise Williams. It wasn't a question. She tightened her grip on her purse. Who are you? Ji-hoon Kang. The name meant nothing to Denise. But the reaction around them did. The hotel manager looked nervous. One of the waiters quickly lowered his head. A businessman walking through the lobby suddenly changed direction. Denise noticed. You seem to make people uncomfortable. Ji-hoon's expression barely changed. I'm accustomed to it. Should I be? That depends. On? Whether you're planning to leave this hotel alone? Denise frowned. What does that mean? Before he could answer, Vanessa came rushing through the ballroom doors. Denise! Then she saw Ji-hoon. She stopped dead. Her face went pale. Mr. Kang. Ji-hoon turned toward her. Miss Miller. Vanessa swallowed. You're here? Yes. She glanced nervously at Denise. Do you two know each other? No, Denise said. Yes, Ji-hoon said, at exactly the same time. Denise looked at him. He looked back. Then he quietly said, We've met before. When? Denise asked. Not yet. She stared. What does that even mean? Ji-hoon looked toward the ballroom, then back at her. Your sister wants you out of the photographs. Denise's eyebrows rose. You were listening? I heard enough. Then you should know this isn't your business. No. He paused. But it has become my problem. Before Denise could respond, a man in a gray suit appeared behind Ji-hoon. Chairman Kang, your uncle is waiting. Ji-hoon's expression hardened. Tell him to wait. The man hesitated. Yes, sir. He left. Denise stared after him. Chairman? Ji-hoon looked at her. Then he said the words that would change her life. I need a favor. Denise laughed. You don't even know me. I know exactly who you are. That's impossible. Your mother was Margaret Williams. Denise's smile vanished. How do you know my mother? Ji-hoon didn't answer. Instead, he glanced toward the ballroom. Then, he extended his hand. Walk back inside with me. No. Why? Because I don't know you. You're right. His voice softened. But tonight, I need you to trust me for 5 minutes. Denise looked at his hand, then at him. 5 minutes? Yes. For what? His eyes moved toward the ballroom. My family is about to make an announcement. What does that have to do with me? Ji-hoon looked directly into her eyes. Everything. He lowered his voice. And if I am right about what your mother left behind, you're in more danger than you realize. Denise's heart skipped. What did my mother leave behind? Before he could answer, a woman's scream came from inside the ballroom. Everyone turned. Ji-hoon's face changed. He grabbed Denise's hand. Stay beside me. Why? Because they're here. Who? He looked toward the ballroom. The people who killed my father. And then he walked her straight back into the wedding. The ballroom went silent when Ji-hoon walked in holding Denise's hand. Vanessa stared. Michael stared. The photographer stared. Then the whispers began. That's him. Ji-hoon Kang? Why is he with Denise? Isn't he? Don't say anything. Denise felt every eye in the room. She leaned toward him. You have exactly 30 seconds to explain. Not here. You brought me in here. I know. Then explain. Ji-hoon stopped beside the wedding table. Vanessa approached. Mr. Kang, is there a problem? Ji-hoon looked at her. No. Then he turned toward the room. I would like to make an announcement. Denise's eyes widened. No. He looked at her. You'll thank me later. I absolutely will not. He raised his voice. My fiancée and I have been keeping our relationship private. Denise's mouth fell open. The room exploded into whispers. Vanessa looked like she'd been slapped. You're what? Ji-hoon calmly looked at Denise. I'm sorry. You should be. Just play along. I'm going to kill you. I believe you. Then he looked at the crowd. Denise Williams is my fiancée. Silence. Real silence. Denise could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning. Vanessa's face had gone completely white. Michael looked from Denise to Ji-hoon. Someone dropped a champagne glass. Ji-hoon turned to the photographer. You wanted a family photograph. The photographer nervously lifted his camera. Ji-hoon looked at Denise. Stand beside me. She wanted to refuse. She should have refused. But then she noticed the man in the gray suit standing near the bar. He wasn't looking at Ji-hoon. He was looking at her. And when their eyes met, he immediately turned away. Denise's stomach dropped. She stepped beside Ji-hoon. The photographer raised his camera. Closer, please. Ji-hoon's hand rested gently at Denise's waist. The flash went off. One picture. Then another and another. Denise kept smiling, but under her breath she whispered, If you ever do something like this again, I'm going to make you regret being born. His lips barely moved. Understood. Who is the man by the bar? Don't look at him. Why? Because he wants you to. Denise's smile stayed fixed. That's not an answer. He's one of them. Who? My father's killers. The photographer lowered his camera. Beautiful. One more. Ji-hoon smiled. Denise smiled. The room saw a beautiful couple. Only they knew they were standing in the middle of a war. Denise refused the champagne. She refused the cake. She refused every attempt Vanessa made to pull her aside. Instead, she followed Ji-hoon into a private hotel suite. The door closed. Denise immediately turned. Start talking. Ji-hoon removed his jacket. Your mother worked for my family. Denise froze. My mother was an accountant. Yes, for a hospital. That was one of her jobs. What are you saying? She also handled financial records for my father. Denise shook her head. No, I've seen the records. My mother would never work for criminals. She didn't know what we were at first. Denise's eyes narrowed. And later? She found out. What did she do? She tried to leave. Did she? No. Denise's heart sank. Why? Because my father wouldn't let her. Ji-hoon. He walked toward the window. My father controlled a network of businesses across the United States and South Korea. Some were legitimate, some weren't. And you? I inherited it. Denise started. You're a mafia boss. Yes. The word hung between them. She should have been afraid. Instead, she felt strangely calm. Maybe because she had already survived worse things than a dangerous man. Why me? Because your mother hid something. What? A ledger. Denise frowned. I don't have a ledger. I believe you. Then why are you dragging me into this? Because someone else believes you do. He turned. Your sister's wedding wasn't the reason those men came tonight. Denise's stomach tightened. They came for you? No. They came for the ledger. Exactly. She slowly sat down. What was in it? Payments? Names? Account numbers? Politicians? Judges? Businessmen? And your family? Yes. Your father? Yes. Your enemies? Yes. She looked at him. And you? His eyes hardened. My name is in it. Doing what? I don't know. Denise started. That's convenient. I was 24 when my father died. And now you're 39. Yes. You've had 15 years to find out. I've spent 15 years trying to dismantle what he built. Why? His answer was quiet. Because my mother died believing she had failed me. Denise didn't respond. Ji-hoon looked away. She tried to protect me from my father. She couldn't. For the first time, Denise saw pain beneath the man's controlled expression. You loved her. She was the only person who ever made me feel safe. What happened? She died 3 months before my father. Denise softened. I'm sorry. He nodded. Then he looked at her. I'm not asking you to forgive my family. Good. I'm asking you to help me find the truth. Denise stood. And if I say no, I'll protect you anyway. I don't need protection. I know. Then stop treating me like I do. Ji-hoon studied her. Then something almost like respect appeared in his eyes. All right. Denise walked toward the door. Where are you going? Home. You shouldn't go alone. She turned. Then come with me. He paused. She smiled. I thought you were supposed to be dangerous. His mouth curved slightly. I am. Then keep up. Denise's apartment had been searched. She knew it the moment she opened the door. Nothing was obviously missing, but the cushions were slightly crooked. A drawer was open. The framed photograph of her mother had been moved. Ji-hoon noticed too. Don't touch anything. Denise sighed. I'm an accountant, Ji-hoon, not an idiot. She walked into the kitchen. He followed. She opened a cabinet. Nothing. Another nothing. Then she stopped. Wait. What? My mother used to keep something here. She pulled out an old metal cookie tin. Ji-hoon looked at it. What's inside? Probably cookies. She opened it. Buttons. Thread. A broken watch. And an old brass key. Denise picked it up. There was a number engraved on it. Fiancée. Ji-hoon stared. Where did you get that? It was my mother's. Do you know what it opens? No. He took out his phone. Within minutes, he had made a call. Find every safe deposit box, storage unit, and private vault connected to Margaret Williams. Denise looked at him. You have people who can do that? Yes. That's terrifying. Usually. She smiled. You're very strange. I've been told. The next morning, they discovered the key belonged to a private bank in downtown Atlanta. The safe deposit box contained only 3 things. A photograph, a letter, and a flash drive. Denise opened the letter. Her mother's handwriting filled the page. Denise, if you ever find this, it means someone has finally forced you to look into the life I spent years trying to hide from you. I need you to understand one thing. I never betrayed you. Everything I hid was because I loved you. The man named Kang Min-jae was not the monster people believed him to be, but the man closest to him was... Denise looked at Ji-hoon. Who was closest to him? He was staring at the letter. My uncle. She continued reading. Do not trust the people who tell you your size makes you less valuable. Do not trust the people who tell you your kindness makes you weak. And never trust a man simply because he says he loves you. Make him prove it. Denise's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, That sounds like her. Ji-hoon looked at her. What? My mother. She wiped her face. She always said love should be demonstrated. He smiled faintly. She was right. Denise looked down at the flash drive. What do you think is on this? Ji-hoon shook his head. We don't know. She plugged it into the laptop. One file appeared, a video. Her mother appeared on screen. Older, tired, frightened. Denise stopped breathing. Her mother's voice filled the room. Denise, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. The video continued. There is a man named Edward Kang. Ji-hoon's face changed. My brother-in-law. He is responsible for your father's death, Margaret said. Ji-hoon leaned forward. Then her mother said something that neither of them expected. But he isn't the only person you need to fear. The screen went black. Denise started. What does that mean? Ji-hoon didn't answer. Because his phone had begun ringing. He looked at the screen. His expression changed. What? Who is it? He answered. A voice said something. Ji-hoon went completely still. Then he looked at Denise. Your daughter is missing. Denise's world collapsed. Maya? Ji-hoon nodded. She was at school. Her father? Not there. Call the police. Already have. Denise grabbed her purse. I'm going. Ji-hoon caught her arm. No. She turned sharply. Don't tell me no. We don't know who took her. I don't care. You should. She is my daughter. I know. Then move. He released her. They drove across Atlanta. Ji-hoon sat beside her. For the first time since she had met him, he looked genuinely frightened. Not for himself. For Hare, at the school, security footage showed a woman approaching Maya. She looked like a teacher, but Denise didn't recognize her. The woman spoke to Maya for 30 seconds. Then Maya left with her. Denise stared at the screen. She knew my daughter. How? I don't know. Ji-hoon looked at the timestamp. 3 minutes later, her phone was switched off. Denise's breathing became shallow. I can't do this. Ji-hoon turned toward her. You can. She shook her head. No. He reached across the console. Denise. She looked at him. You have survived things that would have broken people who had twice your resources. Tears filled her eyes. But she's my baby. I know. He squeezed her hand. We're bringing her home. Not I'll bring her home. We're. Something inside Denise steadied. She pulled herself together. Where would they take her? Somewhere connected to you. My mother's house? No. My apartment? No. Her father's? Ji-hoon shook his head. Think like them. Denise closed her eyes. Then she remembered. A storage unit. Her mother had rented one for years. Denise had never understood why. She opened her eyes. Decatur. Ji-hoon looked at her. What? My mother had a storage unit. Address? I don't remember. Can you find it? Yes. 20 minutes later, they arrived. The unit was open. Empty. Except for a small pink backpack. Maya's. Denise picked it up. A note was taped to the front. You should have walked away. Denise stared at it. Then she smiled. Ji-hoon frowned. Why are you smiling? Because they made one mistake. What? They think I'm scared. She looked at him. I'm angry. The note contained coordinates. Ji-hoon wanted to send his men. Denise refused. No. If you had break on, Denise. If they see an army coming, they'll move Maya. You could be walking into a trap. I know. Then why? Because they're expecting you. He looked at her. They know who you are. Denise pointed at herself. They don't know who I am. She took a breath. They've spent my whole life assuming I'm the woman who waits for somebody else to solve things. Ji-hoon stared at her. She continued. Let's let them keep believing that. They followed the coordinates to an abandoned restaurant. Denise entered alone. Inside, a woman was waiting. Sophia Han. She raised both hands. I don't want to hurt you. Where's my daughter? Safe. Where? Sophia swallowed. She's with my son. Denise started. What? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. My father took both children. Why? To force us to find the ledger. Where is your father? I don't know. Denise stepped closer. Then what good are you? Sophia looked at her. Because I know who helped him. Who? Sophia whispered. Michael. Denise froze. Her sister's husband. The wedding? Yes. The whole thing? Sophia nodded. He married your sister because he needed access to your family. Denise felt sick. Vanessa knew? No. Then why did he want access to my family? Your mother left something with your sister. Denise's mind raced. She remembered Vanessa asking her weeks earlier about their mother's old photographs. Vanessa had said she wanted to frame one for the wedding. Denise had never questioned it. She should have. Sophia continued. Michael has been working with Edward Kang for years. Ji-hoon had entered silently behind Denise. His voice was ice cold. My uncle. Sophia nodded. They killed your father. Ji-hoon stared at her. Why? Because your father wanted to leave the criminal business. Ji-hoon went still. Sophia looked at Denise. And because your mother helped him. The truth landed like a blow. Denise's mother hadn't simply been a witness. She had been part of an attempted escape. And Michael had married Vanessa to get closer to the evidence. Denise pulled out her phone. She called her sister. Vanessa answered. Denise, where is Michael? Silence. Vanessa. I don't know. Don't lie to me. I swear. Michael is working for the people who took Maya. Vanessa began crying. I didn't know. I believe you. Denise, please, listen carefully. Her voice became calm. Do exactly what I tell you. For the first time in her life, Denise wasn't following someone else's plan. She was making one. Denise returned to the wedding hotel. Not because she wanted to, because she knew Michael would. She wore the same emerald dress. She walked into the ballroom alone. Everyone turned. Vanessa was sitting near the head table. Michael stood beside her. His face changed when he saw Denise. You, Denise smiled. Congratulations. He looked confused. On what? Your marriage. Vanessa stared at her. Denise, what's happening? Denise ignored her. She walked toward Michael. You know what I find interesting? What? You spent so much time pretending to be wealthy. Michael's face tightened. You're being ridiculous. You weren't wealthy. He stared. You were laundering money. Vanessa gasped. Denise continued. Your company is almost bankrupt. Michael stepped toward her. Stop. You married my sister because her family was connected to my mother. That's insane. You wanted the safe deposit key. Michael's expression changed. That was all Denise needed. She smiled. Thank you. Michael froze. For what? For confirming it. His face went pale. How? I followed the numbers. That sentence broke him. Because Michael had underestimated the one thing Denise had always been good at. Numbers. She had traced his shell companies, his transfers, his fake invoices, his offshore accounts, and she'd found something even bigger. Michael wasn't working for Edward alone. He was working for someone else. Someone who had been hiding inside Ji-hoon's organization. Someone who had access to everything. Denise looked at Ji-hoon. You're head of security. Ji-hoon's face changed. No. His name is Daniel Park. Silence. Daniel Park stood near the entrance. His face was expressionless. Then he smiled. Well done, Denise. Ji-hoon reached for his weapon. Daniel raised his gun first. Don't. The room froze. Daniel smiled. You really should have killed me years ago, Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon stared at him. You killed my father. Daniel nodded. And your mother. Denise's blood ran cold. Daniel looked at her. And yours. Daniel revealed the truth. Edward Kang had planned the original betrayal, but Daniel had executed it. He had manipulated Ji-hoon's father. He had leaked information to rival organizations. He had arranged the murders, and he had been secretly working with Richard Williams, Denise's former father-in-law. Richard had financed the operation. Michael had handled the American accounts. Daniel had handled the criminal network. Edward had provided access to Ji-hoon's family. It had been an elaborate plan spanning 15 years. But there was one thing they hadn't expected. Denise. Because Margaret Williams had never trusted anyone with the full truth. She had split the evidence between 3 places. One piece in Korea, one in Atlanta, and one with Denise. Daniel wanted the final piece. Denise knew where it was, but she didn't tell him. Instead, she said, You're missing something. Daniel smiled. What? You think my mother was hiding evidence from you? She was. No. Denise shook her head. She was hiding it from everyone. Daniel's smile disappeared. She never trusted anyone. Correct. So where is it? Denise looked at Ji-hoon, then back at Daniel. You'll never know. Daniel raised his gun. Ji-hoon stepped forward. Don't. Daniel laughed. You still care about her. Ji-hoon didn't answer. Daniel looked at Denise. Is that why you became his fiancée? Denise smiled. No. She stepped closer. He became mine. Daniel's expression changed. Denise had been acting. She had never been helpless. She had already sent the evidence to the FBI. She had already sent copies to a journalist. And she had already arranged for Maya and Sophia's son to be moved somewhere safe. Daniel's phone buzzed. Then again, his face changed. Denise smiled. Check your messages. He looked. News alerts were appearing. Federal investigation into multi-state money laundering network. His eyes widened. I told you. Denise's voice was calm. I followed the numbers. Daniel looked toward the exits. Federal agents stormed the ballroom. People screamed. Security officers dropped their weapons. Daniel tried to run. Ji-hoon tackled him. They crashed into a table. Denise stood frozen as the man responsible for years of death and betrayal was finally dragged away. Then she heard a familiar voice. Mom. Denise turned. Maya ran toward her. Denise dropped to her knees. She wrapped her daughter in both arms. Oh, baby. Maya cried into her shoulder. I knew you'd find me. Denise closed her eyes. Always. Behind them, Ji-hoon stood quietly. Maya looked over her mother's shoulder. Is that him? Denise wiped her tears. Who? The man from the wedding. Ji-hoon smiled. Maya grinned. Mom likes him. Denise's face turned red. Maya. What? Ji-hoon laughed. It was the first time Denise had ever heard him laugh without restraint. And for some reason, that mattered. 3 months passed. The criminal investigation became national news. Edward Kang was arrested. Richard Williams was indicted. Michael cooperated with federal investigators in exchange for a reduced sentence. Sophia regained custody of her son. And Ji-hoon did something nobody expected. He dismantled the organization, piece by piece. He sold legitimate businesses, closed illegal operations, turned over records, and walked away from the empire his father had built. Denise watched from a distance. She never moved into his mansion, never accepted his money, never allowed him to buy her anything she couldn't afford herself. But they talked every night, sometimes for hours, sometimes for 10 minutes. Sometimes they argued, sometimes they laughed. And sometimes they simply stayed on the phone without speaking. One evening, Ji-hoon asked, Do you still think I'm dangerous? Denise laughed. Yes. Good. Why? Because you're dangerous too. She smiled. You're learning. He became quiet. Then, I need to ask you something. What? Do you remember the first night we met? The wedding? Yes. You lied about me being your fiancé. I know. You embarrassed me. I know. You nearly got me killed. I know. She laughed. What exactly are you trying to say? I want to apologize. For what? For using you. Denise was quiet. He continued. I needed a woman beside me that night because my enemies were watching. I know. But I didn't know you. I know. I didn't know that you would become the strongest person in the room. Denise smiled. Keep going. I didn't know that you would save my family. Her smile softened. I didn't know that you would save me. Silence. Then Ji-hoon said, and I didn't know that pretending to be engaged would become the most honest thing I've ever done. Denise's heart skipped. Ji-hoon, I'm not asking you to answer tonight. Good. I'm not asking you to marry me because you're convenient. Good. Or because I need protection. Good. Or because my family expects it. Good. I'm asking because I've spent most of my life surrounded by people who wanted something from me. He paused. You're the first person who never did. Denise closed her eyes. That isn't completely true. What? I wanted something. What? To be respected. You have that. To be loved. You have that too. She swallowed. And to be chosen. His voice softened. You are. Denise didn't immediately say yes. She had spent too many years allowing other people to decide what her life should look like. She wanted to make this decision herself. So she asked Ji-hoon to wait. He did. He didn't pressure her. Didn't send flowers every morning. Didn't buy her a house. Didn't show up at her workplace. He simply waited. 6 months later, Denise opened her own financial consulting company. She hired women who had been pushed aside by corporate America. She specialized in helping small businesses escape predatory debt. Her first client was a black-owned restaurant. Her second was a Korean-American family business. She built something that belonged entirely to her. And Ji-hoon supported her without taking control. One afternoon, she walked into his office. He looked up. You're early. I have a question. Okay. She placed a small box on his desk. His eyes widened. What is that? Open it. He did. Inside was a key. Not the brass key from her mother's safe deposit box. A new key. He looked confused. To what? My office. He smiled. You're giving me a key? No. She took it from the box. I'm asking you to earn one. He laughed. How? By showing up. I can do that. By listening. I can do that. By remembering I'm not someone you need to save. He nodded. I know. And by understanding that if you ever lie to me again, I won't. You don't know what I was going to say. I can guess. She smiled. Good. He stood. Can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you come here today? She took a breath, then smiled. Because I'm ready. He went completely still. Ready for what? She stepped closer. To stop pretending. His eyes softened. Denise. She placed her hand in his. I love you. For a man who had faced guns, betrayal, prison threats, and death without blinking, Ji-hoon looked almost overwhelmed. You don't have to say anything, she whispered. I love you too. She laughed. You could have sounded a little more surprised. I've been trying not to scare you. She smiled. You're terrible at romance. I know. But you're getting better. He leaned closer. Am I? Yes. Then she kissed him. Not because she needed a powerful man. Not because she needed rescuing. Not because she wanted revenge on everyone who had rejected her. She kissed him because she had chosen him. And because, for the first time, someone had chosen her without asking her to become smaller first. 1 year after the wedding that started everything, Denise stood in front of a mirror. Her daughter adjusted the train of her dress. You look beautiful, Mom. Denise smiled. So do you? Maya rolled her eyes. I'm 12. I'm supposed to. Denise laughed. The wedding was small. No celebrities. No politicians. No criminal associates. No photographers hired to impress anyone. Just family. Friends. People who had earned the right to be there. Denise walked down the aisle. Ji-hoon stood waiting. He looked nervous. She had never seen him nervous before. When she reached him, he whispered, You came. She smiled. You waited. I promised. The officiant began, but Denise barely heard the words. She was looking at the man in front of her. The man who had first appeared in her life because he needed a fake fiancé. The man who had discovered her mother's secret. The man who had once believed control was the same thing as protection. The man who had learned that loving someone meant respecting their freedom. When it was time for vows, Ji-hoon looked directly into her eyes. I spent my life believing power meant never needing anyone. He paused. Then I met you. Denise smiled through tears. You didn't save me. He shook his head. No, you saved yourself. He nodded. And you taught me that love isn't ownership. His voice cracked slightly. It is choosing the same person every day, even when you don't have to. Denise took his hand. My turn. She looked at him. I spent years believing I had to become smaller to be loved. Her voice trembled. Smaller in my body, smaller in my dreams, smaller in my opinions, smaller in every room I entered. She squeezed his hand. Then you walked into my sister's wedding and made the biggest mistake of your life. The guests laughed. Ji-hoon smiled. You pretended I was your fiancé. He laughed. And somehow, somewhere between the lies, the danger, the secrets, and the terrible coffee you make, the crowd laughed again. You became the first person who made me feel like I didn't have to prove I belonged. Her eyes filled with tears. I choose you, Ji-hoon whispered. I choose you. The officiant smiled. You may kiss your bride. Ji-hoon leaned forward. This time there was no audience he needed to impress. No enemies watching. No business deal. No hidden agenda. Just love. 6 months later, Denise sat at a long conference table in New York. Around her were executives from 3 companies. A Korean-American technology firm, a black-owned financial group, and one of Ji-hoon's former legitimate businesses. The executives were discussing a merger. One man interrupted her. I don't think you're seeing the bigger picture. Denise looked at him. I am. You're being emotional. She smiled. No. She pushed a folder across the table. I'm being profitable? The room went quiet. The man opened the folder. His expression changed. Denise leaned back. Numbers don't care about your assumptions. Ji-hoon sat at the end of the table. He said nothing. He didn't need to. This was her room, her company, her decision. When the meeting ended, he approached her. You were terrifying. She smiled. You liked that. I do. She picked up her purse. Dinner? Absolutely. Where? You choose. I'm choosing Korean barbecue. Again? Yes. He smiled. Vina. They walked out together. A reporter waiting outside shouted, Miss Williams! Is it true you were once rejected from your sister's wedding photographs? Denise stopped. Ji-hoon looked at her. She smiled. Yes. Do you regret what happened that night? Denise thought about it. No. The reporter looked surprised. Why not? Denise looked at her husband. Then at the camera. Because if my sister had invited me into that photograph, she smiled, I might never have met the man standing beside me. Ji-hoon laughed. The reporter asked, Would you change anything? Denise shook her head. Not one thing. Then she took Ji-hoon's hand, and they walked away. Years later, Denise would sometimes think about that wedding. She would remember the white roses, the champagne, her sister's voice. You're going to stand out. For years, she thought those words were an insult. Eventually, she understood they had been a prophecy. She had been meant to stand out. Not because she was the biggest woman in the room, not because she was black, not because she was different, but because she had spent years surviving things that should have made her bitter, and somehow she had remained capable of love. Her daughter grew up watching her mother build a life instead of waiting for someone to give her one. Her sister eventually apologized. Not immediately, not perfectly, but sincerely. And Denise forgave her, not because what happened was acceptable, but because forgiveness, Denise learned, wasn't permission for someone to hurt you again. It was permission for yourself to stop carrying the weight. As for Ji-hoon, he never called her his fiancée again. He called her his wife, his partner, his favorite person. And sometimes, when they were alone, he still called her the woman who walked into a wedding feeling unwanted and somehow walked out having changed both their lives. Denise always laughed when he said that, because the truth was simpler. She hadn't needed a mafia boss to discover her worth. She had needed someone willing to see it. And once she finally saw it herself, nobody could take it away again. The woman they tried to hide from the photograph became the woman everyone wanted standing beside them. And this time, Denise chose exactly where she stood. If Denise's story touched your heart, don't just watch and leave. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been rejected, underestimated, or made to feel like you weren't enough? Remember this: rejection does not determine your worth. Sometimes the people who overlook you are simply making room for the people who will truly value you. If you believe everyone deserves a second chance at love, family, and happiness, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And share this story with someone who needs to hear that their past does not define their future. Because sometimes the greatest comeback begins with one simple decision to stop believing what people said about you and start believing what you know about yourself.